Mario Kart World is just another Mario Kart. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Anyone who's played these games knows they are god tier. That said, I will openly admit that Mario Kart World doesn't really do much to break up the formula. It's still the best Mario Kart out there, but there are some very minor things that keep it from being like so much better than Mario Kart 8. In fact, I could still see myself wanting to play Mario Kart 8, except that Mario Kart World is just the shiny new one, so I'm gonna put hundreds of hours into it. But okay, let's start off simple. The Grand Prix. The big gimmick that Mario Kart World has over its predecessors is that there are transitional tracks. So you'll start at one level, but the second level is you going into the second map and then completing like maybe one lap on the new map. Then you're going to level 3 and then you're going into level 4. It's not bad by any means, but I do still wish that we had a more traditional Grand Prix option where we could just do multiple laps on the track without having to drive to the next track. And because Mario Kart World is open world, more on that later, I was curious to see how they would make these tracks hit as hard as Mario Kart 8. Being under the constraints of having all of these tracks in the same world had me worried they wouldn't end up being complex enough to be fun. Oh, how wrong I was. These are some amazing levels. And admittedly, your first or second time going through these tracks might seem a bit underwhelming. And then you realize that you can rail grind or wall ride, allowing you to reach areas of the level that aren't on the traditional line. Let me just say that these tracks have surprising depth. There are so many little secret pathways and tricks that you can do to optimize your time. The skill ceiling is genuinely impressive, but we'll talk more about that later. So getting back on topic, as I mentioned, I don't really like the transitional tracks that much, right? That's where Versus Race comes in. Rather than a Grand Prix, you just select a level and do a couple laps on it. But a minor complaint of mine is that we don't just have a simple list of all of the tracks. Instead, you gotta move your cursor around the map, click on the level, and then you're prompted with selecting the track itself or a transitional track from that track to any of the other ones on the map. As soon as I saw this, I got a little bit annoyed because all of the highway maps in this game are pretty much the same. This is just a way that Nintendo can say, oh, there's 150 tracks in this game. No, there isn't. Next is battle mode, which is pretty lackluster. You got your coin collection mode where you're trying to knock coins out of other players and have the most coins by the end of the match. And then you got your traditional balloon battle where you're trying to pop the balloons of the opposing team. Lastly, we have time trials. And as anyone will tell you, this is the true end game of any Mario Kart. But then we got the two additional modes, the open world and knockout tour. Knockout Tour is stupendous. You'll basically race through 4 different tracks without any interruption. And as you get further and further along in the tracks, it'll slowly knock out players at the back of the line. Basically, it's Fall Guys, but Mario Kart. Despite my complaints about the transitional levels in the other modes, in Knockout Tour, they work wonderfully because it's a good opportunity for other players to hit you with items. Lastly, we have the open world. One thing that kind of surprised me about it is how aimless it is. There's no story, there's no objective, you're just kind of driving around. There's coins to collect, switches to hit, but there's also these mini P challenges. These range from fun to sadistic. I had no idea just how high the skill ceiling went in Mario Kart until I came across some of the stunt challenges. I am a grown-ass man who has consistently been playing games for decades, and some of these challenges had me sweating. They will task you with wall riding into wall riding into grinding into wall riding. It feels like I'm playing Tony Hawk more than Mario Kart. Honestly, it was a lot of fun, but very stressful at the same time. And because the skill level required to complete these ranges from baby mode to Dark Souls hard, you never know what you're gonna get. Now, there is a plus and a negative to all of these little collectibles because they are just going to end up being stickers. On one hand, that's lame as hell. You should unlock characters or carts or paint jobs or something. On the other hand, if it's just stickers, it means you're kind of just doing it for bragging rights, which means if you come to a challenge that's just too hard for you, don't sweat it, just move on. In fact, you do still unlock characters and carts in this game, with carts being similar to Mario Kart 8. For every 100 coins, you unlock a new car. Cool, great, awesome. There's not as many as you would think, but unlocking characters is a bit more annoying. See, one of the new power-ups is Kamik. They'll show up to put some random hazard on the field and usually transform you into a character that you then unlock because you played as that character for a brief moment. So it's essentially RNG because somebody has to get Kamik in the first place on top of RNG because it has to be a new event with a new character that you haven't played as before. I hate this. But another collectible is unique costumes. Throughout the various tracks, you can come across a food power-up. This is basically just going to end up giving you a little boost the same as a mushroom, but depending on the character you're playing as, it'll usually transform you into an appropriate outfit for that food. Two problems. One, these costumes are considered separate characters on the character selection screen. I don't know why I can't just pick Mario and then pick his costume. And two, certain characters only have maybe like 1 or 2 costumes. Some of them have none. And I'm just sitting here wondering, why did Nintendo even bother with this mechanic if they weren't going to flesh it out? Like, I'm sure you guys have seen the cow character. It's kind of just this online meme like, oh wow, there's a cow in Mario Kart. But the developers ended up talking about it in an interview, saying that the cow inspired them to find other characters from other Mario Kart games to fill out the character roster. And I thought, oh, that's cute. The cow's going to end up having like 5 costumes the same as Mario? Nope. Oh, okay. Then why is the cow a character instead of Link or Zelda? Maybe it's planned DLC, but so help me, I want Mario Kart to transition into Nintendo Kart, the same as Smash Bros, where it just has all of Nintendo's IPs instead of a freaking crab. But okay, let's wrap this up. As per my recommendation, Mario Kart World is obviously incredible. You might not think it's that obvious considering my complaints, but you gotta understand, me and my wife put hundreds of hours into Mario Kart 8, and we will inevitably put hundreds of hours into Mario Kart World. The thing is, Mario Kart 8 perfected the formula. There wasn't really much room for them to improve the game. And that's what kind of shows with Mario Kart World. It's bigger and it's grander, and the skill ceiling is most definitely a lot higher with wall riding and rails. I appreciate the scope of the game, but at the same time, it's just another Mario Kart. But don't let that undermine the masterpiece that this game is.